Greetings and bienvenue, Midnight Crew. Thank you for returning to this broadcast. And welcome to new viewers joining us for the first time. If you like a video, then feel free to subscribe.
Some viewers may find the following video disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised.
Do you think you have run into a genuine psychopath before? Psychopaths make up a very small portion of the population. Not all are seriously violent, and they are able to camouflage themselves as typical people. I think my old roommate was a real psychopath when I compared his mannerisms and habits to the definition of a psychopath. He frequently lied, sometimes about stuff not even worth calling him out for. He was very good at manipulating people in these very subtle ways. I caught him slipping up on some emotions he was faking, and I honestly felt scared at night, or being alone because I just felt like he was plotting. I got my valuables knowing he would steal or break them and act like it wasn't him. He also had this arrogance, even though he liked to act like he was humble and a man of God. There was a lot of weird things I noticed about him. So anyone else have stories to share?
I used to be friends with this guy who turned out to be one. We were never close friends, but we'd shoot the shit in bars and at parties. He was a little too friendly sometimes, would often invite me to random places, and he sold drugs, which he'd often offer on the tip of his knife. I never accepted, but I noticed he'd insist people snort it off the tip of his knife as he held it up to them. He had this cult leader vibe that made me hold him at arm's length. He was always trying to get inside your head and often spoke about Franz Anton Mesmer. I lost track of him for some time and only heard of him again after he'd been arrested for holding a 14-year-old girl hostage in his house. She had been missing for 2 days and was found tied to a radiator. When the cops tried to free her, she apparently resisted, saying she loved him. His arrest led to him also being prosecuted for abusing several other women, assaulting 2 men with a knife, and robbing and abusing his own mother. Possession of illegal material, hard drugs, and the distribution of hard drugs. He's been in jail with forced mental health care ever since. Lost all his teeth too due to an infection they didn't treat properly, which he is trying to sue the prison for.
I'll green post my story about this psycho I knew, at work. Autist with no friends gets a job, and I feel bad for him, so I act friendly with him. First time we hang out, his apartment is on fire. We are waiting outside, and it's midwinter, so it's freezing. We can see the apartment that is on fire. We see an older lady being dragged out to the ambulance by firefighters. She is all burnt up and yelling and crying. I cringe and look away. My friend at the time, let's call him Out, looks at her and laughs, like a genuine uncontrollable one. I'm spooked. Alarmed at what took place, I start testing him to see if he really is a psycho or sociopath. I push him with emotionally charged stuff and never get any emotional feedback at all. So, at this point, I'm convinced he's a legit psycho. I start talking about stuff that he does that's illegal, and he tells me about how he steals iPads from work by putting them down his pants, and how he is a Minecraft YouTuber. The more I talk with him, the more he starts to tell me everything about him. Comes out as a legit Roblox developer. Got away with it since he was under 18, and how his family protects him. At this point in time, I start to back off. He starts getting upset with me and starts to offer me stuff like game codes and drives to places. He starts to drive me home, and we are in a heated debate. We are on the highway, and it's a snowstorm. He starts to get really angry with me, telling me he can't trust me. And at this point, he is going 120 kilometers per hour and losing control to some degree. I realize that he might be trying to scare me or kill us, and I tell him to slow down. He speeds up, and the car skids across 4 lanes. We crash into a snowbank, and we are fine. I start to just play friendly with him since I'm spooked. One day I find out he's babysitting his 3-year-old stepsister. Fearing for the girl's well-being, I acted as quickly as I could and recorded him telling me about his crimes. Went to the police the next day with the recording. He got a trial date set, and I had to go to court with him. I started seeing his car pass by my apartment like 3 times a day. Thinking that I was just stressed out, I blew it off. But one day, I was walking along the road, and I saw the car with him in it. He pulled over and told me how much he trusted me, and pulled out the TV I let him use out of the trunk. After this, I moved back in with my dad. About a month or so without any contact or anything, my computer started to act weird. Found out I had a rat on it, and I'm 100% sure it was him. He also offered a few of the people on my Facebook money if they fucked me over, using a fake account. Sent my internet history to my family and stuff. Police couldn't do anything other than have the Facebook profile shut down. Nothing has happened in the past few months, and when I saw him in court, he was totally alone and just sat across from us staring at me and my friends.
I found one recently, though, an online friend of mine. He surrounds himself with vulnerable people, and I got into his circle of online friends. The first thing he starts doing is grooming me because I told him that I was a trap. I really have no clue on how to go about telling others. Maybe they see it also, but I doubt it. They're all starved for attention, and he feeds it to them constantly.
I saw this with mine. They try to look for people with insecurities. Anything they can grab onto and manipulate. Would low-key stalk people she was interested in for whatever reason, money, status, free shit, and research all the shit they liked and parrot it back to them. But she always had to be better than them in some way. Tried to act all humble but would ham it up and rub it in. List of shit she did. Stole money and items. Gave people bad drugs to fuck with them. Put needles in my bed while I was sleeping. Stole people's meds to fuck with them. Pets would disappear and she would cry for attention, but never look for the pet. Played sick, weak of body or emotionally upset. To get away with shit and get catered to, but would be fine once she thought no one was watching. Cheated on literally everyone she dated, even the people she was using to cheat on others with. The conversation always ended up being about you and your problems, and how she was the poor victim. Pitted people against each other. Blackmailed 2 guys into financially providing for her. That last one I personally thwarted, as the guys were my close friends. Still have all that BS filed away on my computer in case they ever need legal help.
Okay, rich and intelligent psychopath, I guess. Be Christmas time, a few years back. A young female relative shows up with a friend she met while on a mission trip to Africa the year before. He is a Chinese guy, taller than most, at least 6 feet 2 inches. Smooth, well-spoken in English and other languages, I suppose. He is a trauma surgeon. He worked in Africa, where he met my young relative, Syria, Haiti, every hot spot around the globe. Also said he was Christian, same denomination as most of us, remarkably. Super talented. He plays the piano as we sit around singing Christmas carols. Everybody likes him. He says he has written a book to be published soon. He has his choice of research institutions he will go to next. One in New York, one in New Orleans, one in London. He completed his medical degree at a young age in Peking. He has a few pictures of him doing operations, holding up body parts, etc. Fast forward a few months. See him on the internet. He's in a lot of trouble. Has sold all these books, done speaking engagements, etc. It all turns out to be phony. He made it all up. Apparently he's done this sort of thing before. Too bad. He really seemed like a swell guy. My young female relative is puzzled she never heard from him anymore. We never told her that he was a clever psychopath.
A professor took a special interest in me. He initially called me to his office to help me regarding getting credits for an internship. It started normal, basically helping run charitable events at the school and whatnot. Then he was advising me on my career path. He started assigning me homework, such as submitting to him a revised resume and CV, so on and so forth. Again, all mostly harmless at this point. He started to talk to me about psychology and the different nuances in one of the sessions, and started talking about what I thought about how I looked and how it's natural to feel uncomfortable, about how you look, so on and so forth. At this point, I always thought the guy was strange. But something really clicked where I was like, all right, this guy's fucking whacked. He knew I was into photography, so he showed me a B and H catalog he had just gotten in the mail and said their flagship store was in New York City, and that one day we should hop a train there and do a day trip. He said he had a place out there, and we could even crash there if it got too late. I was like, yeah, awesome. Never went back to his class again after that. He was one of the strangest people I had ever met. He took an interest in the fact that I was Irish and grew up Catholic, and talked about how he was an altar boy and whatnot. What I didn't tell him is that my family were never really devout. We just went to big masses, such as Christmas once in a while, and by age 10, I had written that shit off altogether. On the other hand, his entire demeanor was creepy as foo. I was 18 at the time. A few months later, a friend of mine started talking about a teacher who had started having side sessions with him. As he started talking about how creepy and strange the guy was, I immediately knew who he was talking about. Not super interesting, I know. But the point of continuing the story is that all the weird shit about photography and being an altar boy and going out to his place in New York, it just was strange. My friend and I were 18 to 19 around the time that we met this guy. I wouldn't be shocked in the slightest if he targeted people younger than us as well. I also wouldn't be shocked to find that people who went off with him to New York just never came home.
Not entirely sure if the guy was a psychopath or if he had a different personality disorder. Be in a company car with a new guy. New guy is driving, smooth sailing. Suddenly some hotshot cuts us off. New guy honks at him. Hotshot flips him off. New guy just looks annoyed. Not mad or offended, just annoyed. Follows the hotshot for a while. Ask new guy what he's doing. No response. Hotshot pulls over. New guy pulls over a few yards away from him. New guy pops open the trunk. Hotshot emerges from his car being a tough guy saying he'll kick our asses. Hotshot starts walking to our car. Hotshot suddenly starts backing up, telling new guy to relax and take it easy. Hotshot starts running back to his car, followed by new guy who's wielding a tire iron. He throws the tire iron at the hotshot, which knocks him over. New guy beats the hotshot using the tire iron. New guy looks extremely calm. I'm in shock. New guy walks towards the car. I can't even move. He puts the tire iron back and drives off. Eventually ask him why he did that. You saw what he did, said in the most matter-of-fact way. Get to our destination, call the cops, he gets arrested.
My friend dated this guy who was a total Humansuit. Every time he smiled, it looked like that fake one you do when someone tells you to. His laughs were just as forced sounding. At first, I thought maybe he was just trying too hard to compensate for being shy or having Asperger's, but this was something different. Anytime you talked to him, he only had two modes. One where he pretended he knew what you were talking about in order to wait his turn to talk about Linux, or totally engaged like he was hoovering up every word you said like a sponge in order to find a way it would benefit him. He was obsessed with technology but horrible at it. He liked to call himself a tech guy, but any tech job he had lasted less than a week before he was fired, and they had to repair the damage he had done. Scrawny little soulless puppet you wanted to kick. At first I had no idea why she chose to date him, but then it hit me. He showed up at a party I had right when she left her recent boyfriend and was really desperate for someone to give her affection. He moved in with her almost overnight, and then once he found something else vulnerable, he manipulated that person and moved out during the day without even telling her. My friend found out through various exes that he's been doing this for almost a decade now. This post has gone on long enough, but I have a story about one time where he gave me a lift somewhere, and it really cemented into me how not human he was.
Be Joe College, have a friend from the same hometown as me. Hail fellow, well met kind of guy, extrovert. He introduces me to a new guy. Says he is a transfer student. Vague on where he is living exactly. Some story of lack of rooms that year, some waiting for placement, blah blah. Invited to our fraternity. He eats there a few times. Seems to know a lot of people. Plays basketball on our team. I don't like him. Reason is, he was wearing this ring. Not hairy high school class ring like some of them wore. More like the kind of ring you see in pawn shops. No stone, just a squared-off flat platform with sharp edges. The kind of ring you use to hit someone, like brass knuckles. No one else seemed to notice the ring. Pick a little like this guy, but the real guy was just a little more, just don't look right. Friend from the same hometown thinks I am a jerk. This guy is okay. You're a snob, a jerk, etc. Okay, fine. Several months pass. Friend comes back to me. How did you know? The guy had somehow managed to wangle a room, made it seem like he was a student. Also had a job in a fancy store downtown. The store finally found out they had been embezzled for thousands. Clothing and electronics from other students were found in the guy's room. Someone said he was from Hawaii and had gone back there. I told my friend I knew something was wrong because of the guy's ring. You're fucking nuts. You knew he was gonna do all that because of the ring? Yeah, that was a thug's ring, not a Joe College ring.
There's this guy I know. He's basically a friend of most of my friends. I'm convinced he's some kind of nutcase. Essentially, he divides others into two groups, the people he likes and those he doesn't. To the people he likes, he's the most charming, helpful, and kind person you could imagine. And those friends all seem to think the world of him. To me, it seems obviously superficial, but everyone else doesn't see it that way. To everyone else, the unfriend group, he's a calculatingly careful asshole. He constantly comes up with ways to taunt, insult, and torment them. And he does it with a smile as everyone else chuckles at his cleverness. However, he's careful to never go too far or do anything too obviously bad. Instead, it's a form of constant pressure that he inflicts on the people he doesn't like. The goal seems to be to drive you out of his immediate circle of acquaintances. It's weird to watch him when he meets someone new for the first time. He's super friendly, but sometimes you see him just watching the new guy with this odd intensity. I started off in the friends group with that guy. Then I somehow ended up in the other group. For weeks he played his games with me. Then one night he did something that pissed me off enough that I loudly and clearly told him to fuck off. As near as I can tell, I on the spot invented a third group in his life. I'm somebody he can't seem to handle, and he's now very careful around me. There is no way on this earth I'd be alone in the woods with that guy.
We've all had a psycho roommate. Being a philosophy major, I find this shit fascinating. Moreover, if I had the time, I'd argue that we're all psychos to some degree. However, with modern social connectivity, it makes it increasingly difficult for psychopaths to hide undetected in public. I've only known 2 psychopaths in my life that I'm certain were in fact psychos. They were compulsive in nature, pathological liars, short-tempered, glib, narcissistic, manipulative, and downright mean. I've never actually, that I know of, met someone with the pathological need to kill someone, but I'm positive they exist. From my studies, which are admittedly limited due to age and experience, most psychopaths get wrapped up in the prison system, but not just literally jailed. They tend to be noticed at a young age, rebelling against parents and authority, and what have you, and the current system yellow flags them. The most sly and adept psychopaths are in the upper middle class to upper class socio-economic system, due in part to their education and sheltering from the whole of society. Ultimately, in the cynical sense, you can't really trust anyone. If you put a rabid dog in a corner, he will bite. However, there are people that you should be particularly careful of, specifically in the workplace, which most modern psychopaths don't inhabit. However, again, I read that a number of executives and leaders in modern businesses and corporations possess some kind of sociopathic tendencies, time and time again. I still stand with the argument that humans are wretched in nature, and the psychos are the ones that actually have the gumption to act on these latent urges that most humans repress or otherwise sublimate in various acceptable ways.
I've got a story. In 5th grade, a new kid showed up in school. I befriended him and thought he was cool. But my other friends who knew him before he transferred said he was weird. So then I noticed it and I stayed away from him. I don't know how to describe it, but he acted like a stereotypical psycho. He gave people weird looks and talked about getting revenge on people he didn't like. Then it got worse. He was infatuated with this one girl in my class and somehow got her number and kept calling her and harassing her. The school found out and he was put in the special needs class. But it didn't help. The next year, he went to a special school. I didn't see him again until 8th grade. I saw him in high school and he joined the photography club. I saw him taking pictures of everyone and everything waiting for the buses to go home. I might be paranoid, but I still think he's up to something.
My first boyfriend. His mum told me he burned down his neighbour's shed for fun once. Was pretty abusive to me, but seemed really charming to everyone else, including me. I thought he was funny and witty. He had those cold, dead eyes too. Got me crazy dependent on him, and then cheated on me a bunch. Threw shit at me when he was angry. Constantly told me he was going to off himself because of me. Multiple times he'd say it, and I'd have to run to his house in the middle of the night and try to talk him out of his fake self-termination attempt. But then constantly told me to off myself. Pressured me into drugs, which degraded my mental health and ruined my life, caused tension in my home and made me wind up homeless, lied and lied and lied, told me all my friends hated me, and they told him they hated me. I isolated myself from them all because of what he said to me, and still cannot form friendships to this day. 6 years after we broke up. I broke up with him because his cat died, and he found some way to make it about how I was evil, and that I somehow did it. Very overdramatic, but seemed to thrive off the attention he got. I'll never forget one thing he said to me when he was 21. "I love 15-year-old girls because they're easy to manipulate," which he told me while we were dating. He was apparently close personal friends with Julian Assange, though this was actually the truth. Claimed Julian taught him how to hack. He did weird antisocial stuff like hack the school internet and took down all the blockers. He was really, really smart and really scary. Aggressive too. He told me his mum kicked him out at 17 because she found a gun in his bedroom. We live in Australia, so that's pretty weird. But I think it was because he used to throw shit and scream at her and his little sister, who hates him. Lots of other evil shit he did to me. I was young and stupid. He was definitely a psychopath, though. After we broke up and he got a new girlfriend, he used to email me and call me up and brag about how his girlfriend was ugly and he could never love her, and that he hated her guts and loved pressuring her into cutting herself because she was depressed. They're still together, and I have no idea how she does it. She's had fights with me over the internet about how he's totally changed and he's not evil anymore, and I need to shut up about how he's a psychopath because he regrets the way he treated her. Sometimes I feel like leaking the emails he sent me about how much he hates her. To be honest, I just don't want to get involved anymore. I actually moved cities to get away from him because when I broke up with him, he threatened to kill me. Not the first time it happened. I'm legitimately scared of the guy, and I feel like if I ruined his new relationship, he'd hunt me down and set fire to my house.
I've worked retail for about 4 years now, at Cuckmart, so I've run into pretty much every kind of person you can imagine. I also have a bachelor's degree in psychology, for what that's worth. There's been only one instance where I'm almost certain I had an encounter with a psycho-sociopath. A big guy came in with his arm around this tiny girl. As soon as I looked him in the eyes, I knew something was not right. His gaze was completely cold. He tried to make small talk with me, but things got awkward fast. He covered it up with a big roaring laugh. All the while, his eyes were dead cold. As I rang up his items, he had one hand around his girl, who was shaking and looking about, and with his other hand he leaned inward with his elbow on the counter and his hand under his chin, just staring at me.
It's all a game to us, OP. We believe in nothing. OP, nothing. It's a game, and you unwitting norms are the pawns. I spend months getting to know the innermost workings of you roaches, and I play with your minds subtly, changing you to fit my needs. After I get bored, I move to the next one. Toodles.
These are my favorite threads, so I'll try to contribute a bit. Not sure if he qualifies as a psychopath, but it'll at least get the ball rolling. Know this guy, we'll call him Grant. Grant and I are both heavy drug users. This dude has no conscience. He frequently steals thousands of dollars from his parents and tries to make everyone in town who gets sober smoke meth with him. He also will threaten violence upon himself, his family, and others in order to get what he wants. But he's pretty incompetent, so it only works on his parents. One day, me and Grant are tripping acid in my garage, just chillin', listening to music, trying to talk about deep shit, but we're not exactly on the same wavelength. We go inside my house to get some food. The second we get inside, this fucker starts begging me for cookie cake. No, fucker, this is for my sisters. Fuck off. I'm getting something nearby. Turn around to find a knife coming at me. Instinctually block it and pull the knife away. Fucking pissed as this moron is still begging me for fucking cookie cake. It's not all that spooky because I'm not a great storyteller, but almost getting stabbed while on acid is a pretty scary event as it's happening.
I hope that you enjoyed tonight's broadcast. If you enjoyed tonight's story, then please subscribe to the channel as more Greentext will appear daily. A new broadcast will appear when the clock strikes midnight Central Time.